Welcome to the Reasonable Southerner podcast. The South isn't all magnolias in the moonlight, but neither is it all racism and violence. We are just like you. My name is Frances Coleman. I share my insights about my life and yours. Enslaved African People, a Vicious Bet, and the story of a group of underappreciated Americans who built a life out of nothing and who need to be recognized. It's time for the Clotilda to be respected and appreciated. It has always been a puzzle to me that Mobile, Alabama would have a neighborhood like Africatown, rich in history, that it has never done much to promote. The fact that the settlement is now being recognized and promoted is a testament to the tenacity of the people who settled it and whose descendants live there today. And the Africatown story is amazing, by the way. It includes wealthy white men who bet on whether one of them could cross the ocean, purchase and enslave dozens of Africans, herd them onto a ship, and bring them back across the Atlantic under brutal conditions. The ship's captain then had to sneak his human cargo up Mobile Bay under cover of darkness because, and this is what made the rich men's gamble such vicious fun, the importation of slaves into the United States was by then illegal. With the feds closing in on the men's plot, the captain put his captives ashore and sailed his ship, the Clotilda, up the river where he torched it. Brought here against their will, with no money or belongings, speaking no English and understanding nothing of the American culture, the hardy group of Africans somehow created and sustained a little community on the north side of Mobile where some of their descendants live today. It is a tale worthy of books and movies. Yet over the years it was mostly told locally by Africatown residents and a few historians. In fact, without much concrete evidence that the stories were true, and with the ship's remains never having been found, a lot of people in the region seem to think that the stories were greatly exaggerated or even false. Now, though, what's left of the ship has been found on the bottom of Mobile River, and archaeologists have confirmed its identity. City, county, and corporate leaders are budgeting money for a museum and welcome center, and the state will use more than $3 million of its BP oil spill settlement money for the project. Meanwhile, the national news media, the New York Times, 60 Minutes, the Smithsonian Magazine, and National Geographic, among others, have reported the discovery of the ship and the potential for, well, what exactly? Restoration of the Clotilda? Or, assuming it's too fragile to raise, then the construction of a replica? Development of a national park? Renewal of the now blighted neighborhood? A regional and national marketing campaign? Special attention to the cemetery where some of the original settlers are buried. All of those could be good things indeed. But first, let's do this. On a very local level, let's recognize, all of us, black and white, newcomers or old-timers, rich or poor, blue bloods or ordinary folks, Africatown for what it is, and let's respect its residents for what they and their ancestors have achieved. Their ancestors, of course, survived the harrowing voyage and established the community. The current residents have heard and told stories over the years to ensure that each generation of children would grow up with some knowledge of the Clotilda. They believed their African forebears when many white people did not, some out of indifference, some out of racism, and others because they did not want to believe that a man from such a prominent Mobile family would have done such a terrible thing. For the longest time then, Africatown sat mostly untended and unnoticed. that can and should change now, in part if the national exposure will likely bring an infusion of donations, and in part if Mobile area residents recognize and appreciate the gem in their own backyard. It's past time for both, but especially the latter, to happen. I'm Frances Coleman. I've worked for newspapers for more than 45 years, from Texas to my native Louisiana, and finally to my home near Mobile, Alabama. I've been a reporter, an editorial writer, a columnist, and an editorial page editor. I've commented on the BBC, been a guest on the Rachel Maddow Show, and had my column distributed nationwide. If you like this podcast, please subscribe. But even if you don't like it, I hope you will find it thought-provoking.